Madame la Conseillère d'État, Monsieur le Syndic, dear guests, members of media, dear colleagues. Thank you for joining us here today in person or virtually for this very important day. We are inaugurating the Institute of Agricultural Science. And this is indeed closing a very important gap in our research capabilities. At Nestlé, we take a very holistic approach to food. Food has to be nutritious, tasting well, has to be affordable, in those times very important as well, and last but not least, it has to be sustainable. That means we need expertise, scientific expertise along the food value chain to achieve this. And this includes also agricultural science. To ensure that our products are fulfilling all those requirements, we need to be able to analyze our agricultural raw materials with state-of-the-art technologies, analytical technologies. We need to be able also to judge all those solutions which are offered to us by startups, by suppliers. So the capability to judge in a holistic manner is super important to come to the best solutions. Last but not least, we need to be able to develop also our own proprietary new agricultural solutions. Because in some areas there is no research, there is no development. Think of coffee, which is an orphan crop. So there are not many research institutions working on coffee, and we have to be able to fulfill those gaps. In collaboration with farmers, with academic partners, but also with governmental institutions. At the new Institute of Agricultural Science, we will build on our long-standing expertise in plant science. We have 40 scientists in France working on plant science for coffee and cocoa. But we will also fully leverage our analytical capabilities, for instance, in this research center. It's the biggest private research center in the world in the food and nutrition industry. And we have plenty of labs. You will be able to visit some of those labs. And we will leverage all this expertise we have here in place. I myself, I come from a small family farm in Germany. So I know what it takes to run a farm. Day out, day in, it's hard work. Shine or rain, you are the victim of the weather. And sometimes the weather is favorable, sometimes not. So it's a hard work. And we need the farming community. We need those farmers, not only to feed the people, but also to keep and preserve the landscape. To make sure that the needs and the challenges of the farmers are at the core of all what we do, that they are considered, so that our sustainability agenda is also farmer-centric, we need to work very closely with those farmers. And we have collaborations across the world, across geographies, but also across agricultural commodities, crops, dairy, coffee, cocoa. And we will extend that now also to other crops, like, for instance, pulses. Globally, we work with 40 research and pilot farms. And we test our solutions on those farms. First, we go on the farms, we talk to the farmer, we get the challenges, and then we consider that in the development of the solution. And then we test the solution together with those farmers. We are connected with those farmers, for instance, through our control center, and later you will be able to visit that as well. You will see the cow's life here, moving around on the farm. You will see carbon emissions of this farm, productivity, milk productivity of this farm. I think it's a very important tool. And we have initiated lately also a project together with the Canton de Vaud. It's a dairy farm, just 10 minutes from here. Very proud. It is a state-of-the-art dairy farm. The carbon emissions per kilogram of milk are already very low, and together with the Canton de Vaud and the researchers and, of course, the farmer who is also visiting us today here, we will try to do even better while considering animal welfare, nutritional context of the milk, content of the milk. So it's a great project, and very proud that we are able to run this project here in the Canton de Vaud in Switzerland. To help us to develop scalable solutions, which are based on cutting-edge science and technology, the Institute also relies on external collaborations. Collaborations with academic research institutions, collaborations with, for instance, startups and also suppliers. For instance, we have a great collaboration with the ETH Zurich, where we look at soil health and also carbon emissions of milk. Here in Switzerland, indeed, we have a great ecosystem, an ecosystem which is rooted in agriculture, which is characterized by a huge density of farmers. And we are committed to further develop this ecosystem together with authorities, local academia, local farmers, but also to leverage it to come to the best solutions for mankind when it comes to nutrition and agriculture practices. With that, I thank you for your attention, and I wish all of us a very enjoyable and also a nice and informative inauguration here of the Institute of Agricultural Science. Thank you. With that, I hand over to our head of agricultural science, Jeroen Dijkman, and Jeroen will explain you what we do at this new institute. Please, Jeroen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here, people online, people in the audience here. And really, for us, of course, we're very joyful that you're here to mark the occasion of the inauguration of our new Institute of Agricultural Sciences, of which I have the privilege to lead it. So what we're planning to do this afternoon is to introduce to you part of our exciting new research agenda, and that will then be followed by the inauguration, the official inauguration of the Institute. And then for the people who are present here, unfortunately not for those of you online, but for the people that are present here, we will then have a ribbon cutting, and that will mark the end of our online event. And then we will take the people present here on a tour of some of our facilities, and after that we will have a social gathering. So Stefan already mentioned it. At the Institute we are really building on and expanding on our existing work and expertise in the agricultural sciences. And you may have heard about our Nescoffee plan or our cocoa plan. And for many years, our plant science experts out in Tours, they have been contributing to the company's sustainable cocoa and coffee sourcing plans. And of course, these important programs, they will continue at pace. But in the past year, we've also made significant efforts and significantly expanded our expertise in other aspects of plant sciences, and also added the agricultural system sciences and animal sciences to our portfolio. But although our portfolio is expanding, our focus in everything we do remains the same. We are screening and developing science-based solutions to make sure that we have access to sustainably produced agricultural raw materials that allows us to bring differentiated and high-quality products to the market. And you'll hear and see more of that work we're doing in these different research streams to achieve this afternoon. Now, our base here in Switzerland at Nestlé Research, it really also allows us to leverage the existing knowledge the company has and use that in our own work, but it also allows us to leverage, of course, this fantastic infrastructure here. Another advantage for us being here in Switzerland is that it facilitates our interaction with our global partners, a network of research partners. I think you all know that Nestlé has set itself a target of sourcing at least half of its ingredients from regenerative agriculture by the year 2030. Evidently, the Institute of Agricultural Sciences will be central to achieving that goal. But whilst Nestlé is global, farming, as Stefan already explained, is local. And so we work with partners around the world to develop, test and validate new technologies for specific commodities in specific geographies. And our remote data and support center, which you see here and indeed you will visit later, allows us to connect to our different research sites, to connect with different partners around the world, and it ensures us seamless real-time data capture and sharing, as well as remote working and training opportunities. I can talk a lot about it, but what we really want to do is to take you on a tour around the world to meet some of the fantastic people that are working to implement this very exciting new research agenda that we have, and also really to show you the global nature and scope of what we do. And to do that, we'll start off in Tours, where Isabel, our plant and nutrition expert, and Anna Camilla, a plant breeding expert, are waiting to show you part of the work we do on plant sciences. Isabel?
Thanks a lot, Jeroen. Good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to our plant science department in Tours, in France, where our work focuses on coffee, cacao, pulses, and grains. And today I'm going to talk to you about grains and pulses. As you can see, I have here some examples of the different crops that we are working on: soy, tea, and fava bean. Those three crops are today the main sources of plant-based proteins that we are using to develop products. And today, those sources, the plant-based protein sources, are clearly different in terms of nutrition and in terms of taste, mainly of taste. And soy is today the best sources of plant-based protein in terms of nutrition, in terms of affinity. As an example, we have worked to select and rediscover soy varieties, not only the ones that are highly performing in the field, but also the ones that are superior in terms of taste, in terms of color, and in terms of nutrition. We have been able to show by selecting the right soy variety, we can improve significantly the chicken fillet that is made out of this variety, meaning that the quality of the products that we are selling to our consumer can be improved straight at the beginning of our supply chain. Furthermore, as we are moving toward regenerative agriculture practices using more nitrogen fixing crops such as pulses, will improve soil health, better growing conditions for themselves as well as the other plants, reducing fertilizer usage, and by consequence, reducing carbon footprint for the raw material that will be sourced out of those fields. This is another reason why farmers will reintroduce pulses in their crop rotation. Finally, as an R&D facility, we are engaging with growers along our supply chain in France, in US, and in Switzerland, farmers that today are ready to implement regenerative agriculture practices. We want to understand the link between soil health, regenerative agriculture practices, and the quality of the raw material that we'll be sourcing in terms of nutrient density, in terms of food safety, and in terms of carbon footprint. That's why this is what we want today, focusing on the main major commodities that today we are buying. So now I'll give back the floor to Anna Camilla that will explain you what we are doing on coffee breeding activities.
Gracias, Isabel. Good morning, good afternoon to everybody. I am in one of our greenhouses here at Tours. In this site, meaning in the greenhouses, in the labs, we keep a diverse range of coffee varieties to help us improve our understanding of coffee resilience, productivity, and taste, and to ultimately develop new plants with higher yields and better resistance to disease and drought. And you will be asking yourselves, why is this work so important? Well, there are more than 1 billion coffee drinkers in the world, and this number is growing. But on the other hand, coffee plantations are increasingly affected by drought and diseases, and this all as a consequence of climate change. And this, of course, raises concerns about the sustainability of coffee cultivation moving forward. So since 2010, Nestlé has distributed more than 240 million improved coffee plantlets through the Nescafé plant alone. And our work here in Tours, where we have more than 30 years of experience, as Stefan already mentioned, and also in our farms in different countries in the world, these places have been central to this success. So We use cutting-edge technologies in the fields of genomics, phenomics, and artificial intelligence to develop new breakthrough coffee varieties using traditional plant breeding methodologies. And our new varieties are being tested and deployed in key countries, in key coffee growing countries around the world. Two very good examples of this success have been Ruby 1 and 2, which are two of our new generation varieties of Robusta coffee, which can deliver up to 50% higher yields compared with standard varieties. And this brings clear benefits for the farmers, of course, because a higher amount of coffee that can be produced using the same amount of land, fertilizer, and energy can result in up to 30% reduction in the carbon footprint of the green coffee beans. We trialed these varieties, and after a number of successful trials with farmers, Ruby 1 and 2 have been approved by the authorities in Mexico. They have been registered, and now they are being grown by farmers, and they will reach our Nescafé cups by 2023 or 2024. So at NIAT, we also work with national and international research organizations to assess the impact of more sustainable agronomic practices in coffee on carbon emissions, on soil health, and also on biodiversity. But this work doesn't stop in the cultivation of coffee itself, because once the cherries are picked, we are also doing research on new post-harvest treatments to unlock sustainability benefits and new flavors. So overall, Nestlé's plant breeding program helps to ensure a sustainable future coffee supply and to deliver on our regeneration agenda while supporting farmer livelihoods. And just to explain this process, this beautiful process, I will introduce you to our local agronomist, Jefferson, who's based on one of our experimental farms in Ecuador. So high up in the Andes. So, hola, Jefferson.
Gracias, Ana Camila. Bienvenidos todos a Ecuador. No hay lugar como el hogar, y hoy mi hogar de trabajo es la hermosa finca experimental de café a gran altitud del Instituto Inaugurated. Dedicada al café arábica, esta finca cubre 10 hectáreas. Es una de las dos fincas que tenemos en el Ecuador. La otra tiene su sede en Choyo, en las tierras bajas, y está dedicada al café robusta, así como al cacao. En ambas fincas empleamos alrededor de 30 personas. Se necesita hasta 15 años para desarrollar y desplegar una nueva variedad de café. Utilizando herramientas que incluyen inteligencia artificial en Tour Francia, seleccionamos los cafetos con los mejores atributos para desarrollar nuevas variedades utilizando métodos sin OMG. Luego los probamos en nuestra red de fincas en todo el mundo para ver cómo funciona. Aquí en Ecuador, pero también en Tailandia y Costa de Marfil. Una vez que hemos hecho la selección inicial, probamos nuevas variedades de café aquí en la finca, generalmente durante unos 5 años, y solo seleccionamos las mejores para llevar a pruebas de múltiples ubicaciones con los agricultores. Este proceso de selección es vital porque una vez que elegimos un ganador, es un compromiso a largo plazo con implicaciones importantes, tanto para los caficultores como para Nestlé. Para llevar a cabo los ensayos con agricultores, Nestlé trabaja con institutos de investigación de café en todo el mundo y con nosotros.
Thank you, Jefferson. You're right. Nanegal is a beautiful place, but Zambacro is special. Welcome to Côte d'Ivoire, everybody. My name is Hubert Kofi, and I lead the Zambacro team. Here, we are really at the heart of the cocoa value chain in the world. You know, Central and West Africa is delivering about 70% of the cocoa you find in the world. But this industry is really facing some serious and various challenges, though it is a growing one. For instance, farmers are aging and their trees too. Soil health is poor and farmers tend to stick with poor agriculture practices. Drought episodes related to climate change reduce yield potential. Diseases such like cocoa swirl and shoot are threatening the wipe-out cocoa orchards in Ghana and in Côte d'Ivoire. In a nutshell, yields are poor, farmer incomes are low, and we need this crop to be sustainable. So what do we do to tackle those challenges? Well, our experts are assessing the impact of different agronomic practices on yield, carbon footprint, soil health, and biodiversity. For example, you know, cocoa husks represent 70% of the waste stream that you can find in cocoa farming. So through some interventions, we look at ways to turn those husks into compost to improve soil health. But we don't stop there. We also go at looking at what can happen when we assess the whole cropping system. For instance, when cocoa farms are properly pruned, there is more sunlight under the canopy. This allows us to test the principle of intercropping legumes, or pulses if you want, and you know pulses are fixing nitrogen to the soil. And we also assess other crops with in mind the aim at improving the soil nutrition, but also providing additional value to our farmers. And once those new practices that we are testing have passed a rigorous testing process, they are rolled out in our supply chain through our Nestlé Cocoa Plan. But we don't stop there. With our colleagues in York, the confectionery R&D center we have in the UK, we're also exploring post-harvest treatments in cocoa to drive the development of new sustainable cocoa ingredients and flavors. In addition to what we do in agronomy and post-harvest, our colleagues in France and Switzerland have built toolboxes and capabilities to identify and select high-yielding and resilient cocoa varieties that we could deploy through international and national research centers to deliver the next generation of cocoa planting material at our cocoa region. At the end of the day, we want everyone, everywhere to continue to enjoy a chocolate-based break. With that, I would like to pass you over to Elodie Soussan, who manages our animal science department. Elodie, over to you.
Thanks, Hubert, and welcome to Forel. So this is a family farm located very close by the Nestlé Research Center in Switzerland. Dairy cows, there is about 90 of them here, are wonderful because they are able to change that into milk. And milk is a very important ingredient used in a wide range of Nestlé products. Therefore, the carbon footprint of those dairy production systems are a key focus of the Institute. In order to reduce the carbon footprint of the milk production, we can start by implementing good agricultural practices to reduce up to 30%. However, at the Institute, we want to go beyond that in order to contribute to achieving Nestlé net zero target. And in order to do so, we need to reduce greenhouse gases emission happening during dairy production at farm. There are three main sources of greenhouse gases emission at farm. The first one is enteric methane. It's a very potent gas that is produced during digestion of the cow, and it accounts for about half of the milk footprint. The two other main sources of greenhouse gases emission are feed production and manure management. So in order to reduce those emissions, for instance, as enteric methane, we are working on different scientific approaches, such as feed supplement, improved nutrition, or immunological approaches. But we already know that there will be no one solution suiting all farm archetype in all markets. Therefore, we are working on a broad array of technology for each of those approaches. Some are commercially available or soon to be, let's say, and therefore they need a very careful assessment still. And for others, we are developing ourselves using our in-house expertise, such as fermentation. When those technologies are validated on the efficacy to lower the greenhouse gases emission, on safety, both for the consumer and for the animal, and on milk quality, then we can transfer the most promising technology into research farm for a real-life condition validation. So the farm I'm talking to you from today is actually part of this growing global network of research farms in which we validate the technologies. And once those technologies are validated, then we will of course support their deployment across Nestlé supply chain, together in collaboration with our partner and the farmers. Thank you, and see you for the apéro.
Thanks very much, Elodie. I hope you all enjoyed this whirlwind tour around the world of NIAS, and I hope it gave you a good flavor of some of the work we're doing in our various locations. And we hope to give you an additional flavor of that by touring some of the facilities later on, as I already mentioned. It also means that we now come to the official part of the inauguration. And for that, I would like to first invite Mr. Paul Bulcke, Chairman of the Nestlé Board, to say a few words. Paul?
Well, thank you, Jeroen. It was a nice tour. So, Madame la Conseillère d'État, Monsieur le Syndic, representatives of the authorities, academia, and the agriculture community, also friends of the press, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, bon après-midi, good afternoon. It's really an honor and a great pleasure to be here in Lausanne today to inaugurate our new Institute of Agricultural Science, and that to do that in your presence. And thank you very much for joining us to celebrate this important milestone. Our company stands for good food, good life. And good food starts with good ingredients. And since its beginnings, Nestlé has always nurtured the relationship and a close relationship with agricultural communities. They provide the ingredients for our products. We can look back at generations of farmers across many geographies and countries who have supplied us with milk, coffee, and other agricultural produce, and they continue to do so today. However, the world faces big challenges, and our food systems are under big, huge stress. And to continue providing an increasing population with tasty, nutritious, and affordable food, we need to transition to a more responsible and sustainable food system. For Nestlé, being a force for good in society is at the core of our way of doing business. To succeed in the long term, we have to create value for all stakeholders, at the same time for farmers, consumers, society at large, and shareholders. That's what we call creating shared value. It's also together that we need to support farming communities in their transition to sustainable food systems and protect our planet. In the new institute, we will contribute to our regeneration agenda and our net zero ambition by screening and developing new approaches based on the latest science. Our experts will work in close collaboration with other scientists across our R&D organization and beyond, taking a holistic approach and turning science into action. In this building alone, we can count on the unmatched expertise of scientists covering all aspects from agriculture, food safety, nutrition and health, food science, all the way to sustainable packaging. And it is no coincidence that here at the Nestlé Research Center in Lausanne, on this very spot, we also created with others the Swiss Food and Nutrition Valley. A few years ago, the Valley brings together academia, authorities, companies and startups to co-create innovative solutions that drive better planetary and human health. It provides a place where new ideas can grow and be cross-fertilized. This region, our region, is a cradle for innovation. With this new Institute of Agricultural Science, we not only further strengthen these local ecosystems, but we also make sure that delivering science-based solutions in support of farming communities and their quality produce remains a key priority for us and for humanity. Thank you very much for being here, sharing this moment with us, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Paul. And it's now my pleasure to invite Ms. Valérie Dietley, Conseillère d'État for the Canton de Vaud, Agriculture and Finance, to say a few words on the occasion of the inauguration of the Nestlé Institute of Agricultural Sciences. Valérie?
Oui. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Major, distinguished representatives of government, local authorities, cher Monsieur le Syndic, dear representative of the media, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I thank you very much for the invitation. And I would like to say welcome to Vercher-les-Blancs. I'm very honored to join you today to celebrate the inauguration of Nestlé's Agriculture Research Institute. As the State Councillor of Agriculture, I'm proud that our canton is a hub for cutting-edge research in sustainable agriculture and food innovation. Agriculture, food, sustainable agriculture and sustainable food is the future. And as the youngest councillor of Switzerland, This is especially important to me. And as Mr. Palzer, as also I grew up on a little farm, which makes this subject even more important to me. This new center will strengthen the Vaud Center of Excellence in research and training in the agriculture, in the agri-food sector. The canton of Vaud is one of the largest agriculture cantons in Switzerland. And we know that agriculture is a constantly evolving sector with multiple challenges. Climate change, you mentioned it, water scarcity, soil degradation, and food waste are just a few of the issues that we have to face. Recently, the Grand Council of the Canton de Vaud, the cantonal legislature, accepted a credit of 28 million to help agriculture facing the climate change. This is a first step, a big step, significant, but we already know that it isn't enough. We must do more. Farmers provide the population with access to local products, seasonal products, products with taste and quality. They nourish the population, an essential mission of farmers. That's why we must offer farmers perspectives, give them confidence in the future, encourage them to autonomy in agriculture production, and find ways to reconcile agriculture and climate protection. We need to find sustainable and long-lasting solutions to enable farmers to fulfill their mission. I acknowledge the importance of the role that research and development can play in promoting this goal. I'm pleased to see Nestlé is taking a leadership role in this effort. The Nestlé Agriculture Research Institute will be a center of excellence for cutting-edge research in sustainable development, in agroecology and the improvement of agriculture production systems. And I'm honored that Nestlé has chosen the canton of Vaud to implant this center here in Verchet-les-Blancs, Lausanne, for the agriculture world. Because the team of experts at this facility will work closely with the farmers here, but also academics and professional partners to develop the sustainable solutions that can help improve the efficiency and sustainability of agriculture production. I believe that by working together, we can find sustainable solutions that benefit everyone, from farmers to producers, to consumers, and the planet, the world as a whole. We need strong public-private partnerships to address environmental and sustainable challenges in the field of agriculture. The creation of this institute strengthens our canton as a leading research center worldwide. The research conducted at this center will be crucial to help finding solutions to the challenges that agriculture faces, such as climate change and food security. Nestlé's research will play a key role in developing new, more sustainable and friendly and agriculture practices. I would like to congratulate Nestlé on this important initiative and thank everyone who contributed to the realization of this ambitious project here in Verchet-les-Blancs. I look forward to seeing the results of these researches and developments that will take place here to continuing our work together towards a more sustainable future. And with that, I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Valerie. We're now getting down to serious business, which is going to involve scissors. So, Paul and Valerie, if you can come with me, we'll cut the ribbon to officially inaugurate the Nestlé Institute of Agricultural Sciences.
Ah, c'est parfait. On fait comme ça.
So thank you all very much. And with the cutting of the ribbon, and therefore the official inauguration of the Institute, that means the end of our online event.